Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spin It, the record ranking podcast for people who would rather be listening to music. Another Backtracks, another little bonus content.
It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. I'm James.
It's spin a minute.
Spin a minute.
I don't know. It's spin a minute.
Spin a minute. That's Connor.
Hello.
Yes, we just did an episode about Lana Del Rey and Born to Die.
Sure did. Came out a few days ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Episode 148, if you find this later and you're looking. And, I mean, we talked about Born to Die, but I mentioned in the episode I was conflicted because I really kind of wanted to do Lana Del Rey to talk about Did You Know That There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard, the album that was nominated for the Album of the Year Grammy this year, because it's kind of fun to compare, see what's what and who's who.
Sure.
And this is that. I'm of the opinion that I made the right choice. This is one where I don't think we'll have to backtrack. I think.
Oh, you think I won't like this one as much?
I think it's. I guess for you, that's the point, isn't it? Well, for you,
yeah.
I'm 90% sure I made the right choice. For me, 100%. Born to Die was the right episode choice. But for you, I'm about 90% sure. And I guess we'll find out. Did you know that There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard? It's Lana's 9th album, as opposed to Born to Die, her first. So, well, technical first, right? She did that self-titled one that then disappeared. But she's obviously grown a lot as an artist since then. I bet you could probably hear it in a lot of ways. It's a much more mature album. It came out on March 14th, 2023, so about 13 months old as you're listening to this. And she had a lot of co-producers on Tunnel. I'm going to just refer to it as Tunnel for simplicity's sake. Honestly, I'm glad we did Born to Die, if for no other reason than the title of Did You Know That There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard is so long, and it wouldn't have fit in the episode title very well. It's maybe the second longest album title we would have talked about.
Yeah, I think it would be.
It's a mouthful. Oh, I guess I should ask too. Did you know that there's a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard?
What don't I know about the tunnel under Ocean Boulevard?
I'm going to say probably nothing.
That I don't know nothing? Meaning I know everything?
I think you don't know nothing, but I don't think that means you know everything.
Fair enough.
Well, on Tunnel, Lana had a lot of co-producers, including Jack Antonoff, who actually, produced the actual Album of the Year winning album. That was a mouthful. Midnights by Taylor Swift. Jack Antonoff, he's on this. Zach Dawes, Benji, Drew Erickson, Mike Hermosa, and more helped produce this album. And she also got a lot of musical contributions from the likes of Tommy Genesis, Bleachers, Double Duty from Mr. Jack Antonoff, Father John Misty, and Jon Batiste, who we talked about on episode 39. He's back. Have you missed him? You liked Jon Batiste, right? And we are?
Yeah.
Did he have a triumphant return here? Was it everything you hoped and dreamed?
Yes.
Really? Candy Necklace. And the Jon Batiste interlude. He's on back-to-back. Well, good. I'm glad you liked it.
I like his piano.
I do, too. What a pianist. What a, also, singer. I just think he's got a lot going on for him. And World Music Radio. His record was up in that running for Grammy, too. But we already did the Jon Batiste episode, and that was before we did Backtracks, and before World Music Radio existed, so might be out of luck on that. Also, as far as extra musical contributions go, Lana even plays an instrument herself on one track, but you probably won't guess what it is. It's not one you'd expect.
What instrument is it?
It's a glockenspiel on A&W.
Oh, love a good old glockenspiel.
Yeah, she wrote, sang, and played glockenspiel on A&W, which is pretty wild. She also talked about how she adopted a new style of vocals and songwriting for the record that she calls automatic singing. And compared to Born to Die, I feel like her singing and her vocals on Tunnel definitely hit different. They seem a lot more frank, a little drier, maybe, softer. She kind of doesn't have the same, richness to her voice in a lot of ways, but she's not trying to. It's just different.
It's definitely a softer album.
It's way less, sweeping cinematic in your face.
And more ballady.
It is more ballady, and that's the 10% of the reason I'm not so sure which of these you liked better. But to be fair, Born to Die is pretty ballady, too.
It is, but it's not as ballady.
It's not. And the reason this one ended up so ballady is because she just kind of sang whatever came to mind in the moment into the voice notes app on her phone. And she would send them off to Drew Erickson and have him compose each track around the voice note that she sang. So compositionally, Tunnel's very unique in a lot of ways. More chaotic, more off the cuff. And we talked about the roots of trip hop that are apparent in Born to Die. There are some spots on here. She pushes trip hop to the limit. Like half of A&W Peppers, like the trip hop that we talked about, I think is less prevalent, but more prominent It's not here as often, but when it is here, you cannot miss it. And Tunnel also earned a lot of praise, obviously, as an Album of the Year Grammy nominee. People have called it her best work, her magnum opus. In the episode, I kind of mentioned that Tunnel is a lot more like a body of work that's an artistic statement rather than a traditional album like Born to Die is. Because this has interludes, it's got spoken parts, it's got a lot more adventurous instrumentals. I am also not sure if that's like a winner for you or like a Radiohead style miss. Because so far you've not been the most positively responsive to more art-focused music or albums.
I don't want my music to be art. No.
Well, it's going to happen.
When should I start comparing them?
Good question.
Should I wait till you're done with all your spiel about tunnels?
I don't know. Here's the rest of my spiel, I guess. Tunnel, super popular, topped the charts in 8 countries, made it into the top 5 in 20 countries. In the US, it peaked at number 3 on the Billboard 200, so never got to number 1 or 2, but still pretty solid. That's it. That's my spiel. Now you can compare. I'm curious what you think. Lyrically, musically, productionally?
Quick notes here, rapid-fire notes.
Yeah, fast-fire notes.
Judah Smith interlude, hated it. Jon Batiste interlude, didn't mind it.
Okay. This is because the Judah Smith one is just talking, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the Jon Batiste one is more musical. It's like a song.
Yeah, I like the laughing, surprisingly, on the Jon Batiste one. Thought I wasn't going to. Ended up. Best feature of this album, I think Father John Misty.
Really?
I don't know. I like that one.
Okay. I've never looked into him, so maybe he's one I'll have to pursue.
Me neither. It's one I'm most intrigued by based off of this. I mean, that's how we ended up with Halsey.
Yeah.
I mean, Halsey was coming anyways, but like that's where I was intrigued by Halsey.
That's true. I did speed her along because I knew you liked her.
Yeah. I don't know, I just thought Lana Del Rey and Father John Misty had a good pairing of vocals.
Their vocal dynamics are good together. He sings a lot of really good harmonies. Yeah, I can get behind that.
I think there are several tracks. You can definitely tell she's gotten more seasoned as a songwriter and singer over the 9 albums.
Definitely.
And so I think there's a lot of the tracks that like I felt were produced better or performed better on this album than on her debut album. But I'm not sure that I liked this album more.
Okay.
I think Born to Die had a better overarching structure to it. Whereas this one, as you said, kind of felt a little more experimental.
It definitely is. A lot more.
Even though there's a lot of things technically better about it, I think it's taking a lot of experimental chances that, for me, don't pay off as well as a maybe safe, maybe not the most... I don't want to say original because it's original, but maybe not the most adventurous of albums that Born to Die is. Yeah, I think you have guessed correctly. I think the odds are in your favor here.
Thank goodness.
I think Born to Die.
See, I feel the same way. I think Born to Die has a lot more memorable choruses, a lot more songs that you walk away singing along to. Here's the other thing about Lana Del Rey. No matter what Lana Del Rey album I listen to, I kind of walk away from it feeling the same way, right? They're so different, but they all produce the same emotion in me, which is interesting. But I think Tunnel has to operate as one giant 16-song, hour and 17-minute unit. I think you could, throw some or all of Born to Die on shuffle and have a good old time. I think if you put any handful of songs from Tunnel on, throw it on shuffle, it's not going to work. This is a one-piece album, whereas I think Born to Die can be broken apart and stand alone better.
I agree.
How does this compare to the other Grammy winners we've talked about? Midnights and SOS. I mean, you gave Born to Die an 8, and it sounds like you don't like this as much as that, and SZA was up in your 9s, right? So
yeah,
I guess that answers that, but...
I like this better than Midnights, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of it might just be because it was experimental.
Midnights was so safe.
And I don't know, at some point, to me... if you're not trying something new or you're not trying to advance your sound or shake it up in some way, like that should be points off for you. Like Midnights, it's a good Taylor Swift album. I mean, in the sense that it's like the songs sound like a Taylor Swift song and they're good and they're popular and they're catchy, but like it's not anywhere near Taylor Swift's best album, and it was so safe that I feel like that almost should hurt Taylor Swift's score. I mean, we talked about that a lot on that episode, that it's like handicaps in golf, right?
Starting at a different tee.
No, well, sure. I was talking more like in golf, you have like a score, especially if you're playing like in a league, right?
Yeah.
There's like how good you are versus how good the person you're playing is, right? Mm-hmm. And you look at those two scores, and based on how different the score is, that's how many strokes that the worst player gets on the better player, right? So like if, I don't know, the differential is 3, right? The better player has to beat the worst player by 3 or more strokes or they lose.
Right.
Because they're expected to beat that player by 3 or more strokes because of the difference in ranking, right? Mm-hmm. That's how I feel kind of about, like, Taylor Swift has a pretty high score differential, right? So I should expect her to be putting out, like, she's held to a higher standard than maybe somebody else.
Yeah, sure.
It almost felt a little phoned in, not to accuse her of that, but I guess I have now.
Yeah, it's out there now.
I don't know. I liked this better, even though it was a little more experimental, and even though maybe some of the songs aren't as catchy as Midnight's.
Yeah.
I felt this was a more deserving winner of Album of the Year.
Sure. I put Midnight's above it, but just barely. Midnight's was down on my list to win Album of the Year, so I put this below that, but I did put this above SOS. Yeah. As far as, like, Lana albums go, though, I mean, Born to Die is 105. I gave it an 89.7, just outside the top 100. Tunnel is an 83.3 from me. 418. It's a significant drop-off.
Wow, it's down there.
Yeah, and the other Lana Del Rey album that I've ranked, Norman Rockwell, it's in the middle, at like 148 somewhere. So I thought Tunnel was a miss for me.
Gotcha.
But, oh well. I'm honestly glad we didn't do the episode on it.
Yeah, I'd probably score this like I don't know. I'd have to think a little harder, but probably a 7 or a 6. It would score lower.
Yeah, well, there you have it. That's why we do these. I guess we can forward track now.
What?
Well, if we're not going to backtrack.
Well, we've backtracked. This supplemental is a backing track to your pick.
True. Okay, sure. Yeah, that works. Stay tuned for another episode of Spin It coming later this week.
Every Friday.
Darn right. Find us on all the socials at SpinItPod Official, on Instagram at SpinItPod, on X, SpinItPod.com. You know the drill. See you soon. Have a great week and
keep spinning.
What's the opposite of the Leonardo DiCaprio toasting? That's what I want to give Tunnel. Born to Die is Leonardo DiCaprio toasting. This is the opposite of that.
It should be something from Maleficent, since she did a song in the Maleficent movie.
Wait, she did a song in Maleficent? How'd we do an episode and a backtrack and not even talk about that?
Pretty certain she did. Hang on, let me double check that.
I mean, I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't really know.
Lana Del Rey, Once Upon a Dream, Maleficent Dream trailer. Her song was in the trailer. I don't know if it's actually in the...
Well, is it just a cover of Once Upon a Dream?
Probably.
Well, then I don't know if that counts.
It's a pop version. Once Upon a Dream from Maleficent pop version by Lana Del Rey.
Maybe she made Maleficent cry.
Angelina Jolie, who played Maleficent.
Oh, it is, and she mentions Angelina Jolie on this album. It's all coming together.